This is why it was so important for us to get Stitch ready for the 2023 Fall Rod Run. Let's take a look at the current state of Stitch, our 1970 Nova, as of September 5th, when this portion of the video is being recorded. As you can see, we've got taillights in now. The door locks are in. The trunk lid is off, which was not off previously, but it is currently sitting over there. All the side markers are in all the way around. And excuse my terrible job pulling that off. I wanted to do it smoothly, but it didn't work. But there is the engine. Everything's hooked up. We did a test fire of the engine 2 days ago. It cranked up really good. It took a little while for the fuel to get into the engine because it's been sitting for a little while, but once it did, you can see that it really cranked up, ran really good, and it sounded fantastic. So I think this may be the best this engine has sounded so far, so I'm really happy with that. Really glad the engine's in and that it cranked, so that is a lot of stress off my shoulders. Since the engine is in, that also means the transmission is in. So you can see we have the center console back together with the Hurst shifter and the Hurst shifter knob. Basically, the interior of the car is completely finished. Door panels are back on the car. Everything's put back together. So all we've got to do is finish the exterior. You'll see the paint is a little dull right here. That's because we've been doing some wet sanding. We're going to try and just wet sand it, get a quick buff on it before we go to Pigeon Forge, so the paint looks as good as we can get it in the time frame we have allowed. Now, to mention why the trunk lid and hood are off the car, we got a couple places in the silver that we're not real happy with, especially on the hood. We tried to do a fix in the paint back here where there was a run from the original paint, and so we sanded and resprayed, but unfortunately you can see a line where the silver's a little different, so we're going to be resanding the stripes and respraying the silver on those. And then we're also going to sand and respray the clear on the trunk lid because there's a lot more trash in it than we wanted. It's really hard to pick up trash on camera, but there's a lot of trash in it, and we just think it'll be better to try and redo that clear while we can before it goes back on the car. So with this being September 5th, we have 4 more days to complete what we need to get done and get Stitch ready for the Rod Run this year.
Eventually.
Now we are back from the Fall Rod Run. Stitch is back home and in the garage / paint booth. And all in all, it was a pretty good trip. I officially entered 1970 Nova into the Rod Run for the first time that the car's ever been entered for any type of judging. That was really exciting. That was the big part of trying to get the car done this year for the Rod Run so that I could have it entered. I pre-registered it, but of course we had to make sure the car was ready to be entered, and that took a lot longer than I expected to, especially with repainting the car. We ended up leaving a day later than we planned on, but we got up there in plenty of time. We were able to actually drive the car around the day after we got up there for a little bit and enjoyed driving it around and letting people see it on the road. And then we went over to the Rod Run, got our registration papers, and parked the car in for the show. Judging was done Friday and Saturday. Unfortunately, Stitch did not win any awards at this car show, but there were approximately 500 cars entered, and a lot of them were a much higher caliber than what we have back here with our car. and had a lot more money invested in them to help with that. The featured car at the car show this year, I was told, had about $1.2 million invested in it to get it to the state that it was in for the show. I am looking forward to taking the Nova to more local shows moving forward. Hopefully enter it for some more judging opportunities and see if Stitch can win anything and if people think that we did a good job on the car. We did get a lot of just compliments on the car in general from people at the show. People really kind of, their eyes caught the blue and they'd walk over, look at the car, and then they stick their head in the windows and see the interior. So it's kind of like the paint caught their attention, and then the interior, they were just like, wow, this looks really good. We got a lot of compliments on using the Camaro interior in the Nova. A lot of people asking questions about how it fit, how well it worked, how easy it was to do. So it seems like people are really interested in the work we did on the car. And my dad had a lot of compliments on his paint job. We had people begging him to paint their cars. It's good to hear people complimenting the work that you've done. It just makes you feel really good. And so that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we got to take the Nova up there and officially enter it in the Rod Run. I didn't do a lot of filming while we were up there. In the haste of trying to pack everything and get the car ready, I forgot to actually take my equipment, the microphones, the gimbal, everything with me. So I just got those little clips that you saw a little earlier of some of the cars that were at the show and of the Nova parked there at the show. But there was a really cool interaction that I had up there. There was a guy up there who has a YouTube channel called Muscle in the Mountains. He actually interviewed me about the restoration that my dad and I did on the car. So that will be in one of his Rod Run videos. I will link it in the description. That was a super cool little interaction that I had. Got a few cool items to go with the Nova while I was up there. I got a original 1970 Fisher body manual. So I'll have that with the car at future shows, hopefully. And I also got a complete set of 1970 Chevy news releases. So that'll be really cool to have with the car, just kind of at shows as some featured items from the era that the car is from. Also bought some other things. We have a couple little items down here. Those are for the trailer. So you'll probably see those in a future video. Speaking of future videos, I've got a trunk video coming. We did some work on the trunk, something that turned out really cool that my dad and I built ourselves. So I'll be working on a video about that. We got it done for the show. Didn't have time to finish the filming and everything, so that's one that'll be coming a little later. Got 2 videos that I plan on getting in the works for the Silverado. So if you're into the Silverado videos more than the classic cars, I do have more Silverado videos coming. I've actually got a lot more on the list, but got to plan them out, make the purchases. Everything's got to be planned financially. Right now I've got one that I've already purchased the items for, just got to get the work done and record the video. And then one that I'm looking into making a purchase here pretty soon. So those will be coming up as well. Of course, there'll be additional Nova videos coming in the future. If we make any changes or do any additional work on the car, I'll be adding videos to this Chevy Nova build vlog. And anytime we take the car to shows, I'll be hopefully taking my stuff with me and recording those videos as well. But that's going to be it for this one. This is the end of the fall 2023 Race to the Rod Run. For now, this is Southpaw Garage signing out.